The condescension. The stars shimmered across the viewport as Commander Alina Reyes stared into the endless void. Earth's most advanced vessel, the UES Pathfinder, had traveled farther than any human ship before, responding to the first undeniable signal of intelligent extraterrestrial life. After generations of searching the cosmos, humanity finally had their answer. They were not alone. Signal source confirmed, Commander. Lieutenant Kai Chen announced from his station. We're approaching the coordinates. ETA 3 minutes. Elena nodded, brushing a strand of dark hair from her face. At 42, she had spent most of her life in space, rising through the ranks of the United Earth Space Force, with a combination of brilliant tactical thinking and unwavering composure. This mission, humanity's first official contact with an alien civilization, would be the pinnacle of her career. The weight of 7 billion souls rested on her shoulders. All systems nominal, reported Dr. Lina Okonkwo, the ship's chief scientist. Our translation matrices are primed and ready. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency as the Pathfinder decelerated. They had trained for this moment for years, running thousands of first contact simulations. Alina had handpicked each member of her team, selecting the best Earth had to offer: scientists, diplomats, and military personnel who represented the pinnacle of human achievement. Contact, Kai announced. Visual confirmation of something big. The main screen flickered to life, revealing what appeared at first to be a small moon. As the image magnified and clarified, the crew collectively gasped. It wasn't a moon at all, but a massive vessel, at least 20 times the size of the Pathfinder. Its surface rippled with iridescent patterns that seemed to defy conventional physics, shifting between states of matter in a hypnotic dance. "That's not possible," whispered Dr. Marcus Webb, the ship's physicist. "The energy requirements alone would." A soft chime interrupted him as the communication system activated of its own accord. "We're being hailed," said Communications Officer Zora Patel, her fingers dancing across her console. "They're broadcasting in English." Elena straightened her uniform. On screen. The view screen shifted to reveal a being that was vaguely humanoid but clearly alien. Its skin shimmered with metallic hues, and what might have been eyes were swirling pools of liquid mercury. When it spoke, its voice resonated with harmonics that made the air itself seem to vibrate. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Arkshan Vasix of the Valorian Collective. We have been observing your species for some time." Elena stepped forward. "On behalf of Earth and all humanity, I greet you in peace and friendship. I am Commander Alina Reyes of the United Earth vessel Pathfinder." What followed might have been laughter, though the sound sent involuntary shivers down the spines of everyone on the bridge. "How quaint," the Valorian said. "Your species has achieved rudimentary space travel. We had wondered if you would ever manage to respond to our signal." Elena maintained her diplomatic composure. "We're eager to establish peaceful relations and exchange knowledge with your civilization." Exchange. The alien's mercury eyes swirled faster. "What could your primitive species possibly offer us? We mastered interstellar travel when your ancestors were still discovering fire." Over the next 2 hours, the conversation continued in this vein. The Valorians questioned humanity's achievements in science, art, philosophy, and technology, only to dismiss each with thinly veiled contempt. Earth's recent breakthrough in warp technology, which had made the Pathfinder's journey possible, was described as charming, like watching an infant take its first steps. Throughout the exchange, Elena noticed her crew's initial excitement transforming into a mixture of humiliation and quiet anger. Yet she also observed something else. Dr. Webb and Lena were discreetly running scans of the Valorian vessel, gathering data even as the aliens mocked humanity's scientific understanding. "We will permit your species to establish a small outpost near our tertiary systems," Arkshan Vasix finally declared. "Perhaps in a few millennia, you might evolve enough to be worthy of true exchange." Helena bowed slightly. "We appreciate your generosity and look forward to learning from your advanced civilization." As the communication ended and the massive Valorian ship shimmered before disappearing in a flash of light that defied known physics. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. "Well," Elena said finally, "that wasn't the welcome committee we were hoping for. They treated us like children," Zora muttered, her fingers clenched into fists. "Worse," Kai added, "like pets." Elena turned to her science team. "Dr. Webb, Dr. Okonkwo, what did you find while our new friends were busy talking down to us?" Marcus's eyes lit up. "Their ship, Commander, it wasn't just using advanced technology. It was manipulating dimensional boundaries in ways we've only theorized about." The readings matched Dr. Caffrey's work on hyperdimensional physics. Lena nodded enthusiastically. "Their technology isn't just more advanced. It's operating on principles we've already begun to explore. If we could understand this data, we could advance centuries in a matter of months." Elena finished. She turned to the helm. "Set a course for Earth, maximum speed. And everything we've learned here stays on this ship. As far as Earth is concerned, we had a polite first contact and accepted an invitation to their territory." As the Pathfinder accelerated back toward home, Elena's mind raced with possibilities. The Valorians had unwittingly given humanity a precious gift, a glimpse of technology that could revolutionize their understanding of the universe, and the motivation to prove their arrogant assumptions wrong. 3 months later, in a facility buried deep beneath the Antarctic ice shelf, Dr. Annika Capri stood before a swirling vortex of energy. Around her, a team of Earth's most brilliant scientists monitored readings and adjusted parameters on equipment that officially didn't exist. "Dimensional stability at 89%, reported Dr. Ryuichi Tanaka, his fingers flying across holographic controls. "That's our highest yet." Annika nodded, her eyes never leaving the pulsing portal. "Increase power to the quantum harmonizers. Let's push for 90%. Project Prometheus had been her life's work, a theoretical approach to dimensional travel that most of the scientific community had dismissed as impossible. Yet here it was, a gateway to the 7th dimension, shimmering with potential. An alarm suddenly blared, signaling fluctuations in the quantum field. Annika sighed and gave the order to power down. They were close, so tantalizingly close. The facility's security chief, Colonel Diane Rivera, entered the control room. "Dr. Catry, the Pathfinder has returned from its mission. Commander Reyes is requesting an immediate classified meeting with you and the project leads." Annika's eyebrows rose in surprise. The Pathfinder wasn't due back for weeks. "Did they say why?" Rivera shook her head. "No details, but it's been flagged as ultraviolet priority." Hours later, in a secure conference room deep within the facility, Elena briefed the Prometheus team on their encounter with the Valorians. The room was silent as she played recordings of the aliens' mockery. "They think we're barely evolved apes," Elena concluded, her voice tight with controlled anger. "Primitive beings unworthy of their attention. But thanks to my crew, we've obtained data that could change everything." Dr. Webb and Dr. Okonkwo stepped forward, presenting the sensor readings and analyses they'd gathered during the encounter with the Valorian ship. "Their technology manipulates higher dimensions in ways we've only theorized," Marcus explained, displaying complex equations and waveforms. "But the principles align remarkably with Dr. Catry's work." Annika was studying the data with intense focus, her brilliant mind already making connections. "This is extraordinary," she murmured. "Look at these phase variances. They are using quantum entanglement across dimensional planes to stabilize the rifts." She looked up, excitement building in her voice. "If we apply this to Project Prometheus, we could achieve stable 7th dimensional travel." Colonel Rivera asked the crucial question, "How long until we have a working prototype?" Annika and her team exchanged glances, performing rapid mental calculations. "With this new data, and if we push ourselves to the limit, 3 months. "You have 2, came a new voice as United Earth Council President Sophia Chen entered the room. "The Valorians have graciously invited a human delegation to their nearest outpost in 2 months. We need to show them what humanity is truly capable of." The next 2 months were a blur of feverish activity. The Prometheus facility operated around the clock as scientists and engineers worked relentlessly to integrate the new insights into their design. Sleep became a luxury, with most team members catching naps in shifts to maintain continuous progress. Failures were frequent and sometimes spectacular. More than once, the ice above the facility cracked as another prototype destabilized. But with each setback came new understanding and new refinements. 53 days into their 2-month deadline, as the facility's artificial day cycle began, Annika stood once again before the portal chamber. The air hummed with potential energy, the portal's edge shimmering with otherworldly light. Quantum coherence at 98% and holding, Ryuichi reported, tension evident in his voice. 7th dimensional resonance is stable. Annika took a deep breath. Initiate final sequence. The hum grew to a crescendo, the portal's center beginning to swirl with colors that had no names in human language. Then, with a sound like reality itself being rewritten, the portal stabilized into a perfect circular gateway. For a moment, no one dared to breathe. Then the probe they had sent through reappeared, laden with data from the other side. It worked. Annika whispered, then louder. It worked. The room erupted in cheers and embraces. Years of theoretical work, months of grueling effort had finally paid off. Humanity had unlocked the secret of 7th dimensional travel. As the celebration continued around her, Annika allowed herself a small smile of satisfaction. Now they would show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. In a hidden shipyard beneath the Pacific Ocean, construction had already begun on a vessel unlike any humanity had built before. Its exterior was deliberately understated, a sleek, conventional design that would give no hint of the revolutionary technology within. But at its heart lay the Prometheus engine, a device that could step through the higher dimensions, allowing the ship to traverse vast distances instantaneously. They named it the UES Phoenix, and in 2 weeks it would carry humanity's answer to the stars. The revelation. The Valorian outpost orbited a gas giant in a binary star system 17 light-years from Earth. According to conventional human propulsion systems, the journey would take years. The UES Pathfinder had spent 6 months traveling to the initial contact point, and that had been considerably closer. Yet as the small human delegation prepared to depart Earth's orbit in the UES Phoenix, the journey ahead would take mere minutes. Commander Elena Rice stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, surveying her crew. Many familiar faces from the Pathfinder had joined her, along with Dr. Annika Katri and key members of the Prometheus team. In the 2 weeks since the breakthrough, they had trained relentlessly on the new vessel, mastering technology that had existed only in theory months ago. Final systems check, Elena ordered. All conventional systems nominal. Kai reported from the helm. Prometheus engine charged and ready, Dr. Katri confirmed from her specialized station. Dimensional coordinates locked on the Valorian outpost. Elena nodded and opened a channel to Earth control. This is Commander Reyes. The Phoenix is ready for departure. You are cleared for launch, Phoenix, came the voice of President Chen. Show them what humanity is made of. Elena turned to her crew. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're about to do will change the course of human history forever. The Valorians believe us to be primitive, barely worth their notice. Today, we prove them wrong, not through aggression or force, but through the very ingenuity and determination they mocked. She settled into the command chair. Dr. Katri, activate the Prometheus engine. Annika's fingers danced across her console, initiating the sequence they had perfected in Antarctica. The ship hummed with energy as the Prometheus engine powered up. Unlike conventional engines, it made almost no sound, just a subtle vibration that seemed to resonate through multiple planes of reality. Dimensional gateway forming, Annika announced. Stability at 99%. On the main view screen, the stars began to distort as space itself warped around the ship. A swirling vortex of iridescent energy formed before them, a controlled tear in the fabric of reality leading to the seventh dimension. "Take us through, Lieutenant Chen," Elena commanded. Kai guided the Phoenix forward. As they approached the dimensional gateway, reality itself seemed to stretch and bend. For a moment that felt both infinitesimal and eternal, the ship existed in multiple states simultaneously. Then they were through. The experience was unlike anything in human space travel. There was no sensation of movement, no acceleration or deceleration. One moment they were near Earth, and the next they emerged from another dimensional gateway, the massive gas giant and Valorian outpost directly ahead. "Transit complete," Annika reported, unable to keep the note of triumph from her voice. 17 light-years in exactly 42 seconds. A stunned silence fell over the bridge, broken only when Zora's console chimed with an incoming transmission. "We're being hailed by the Valorian outpost," she reported. "They sound confused." Elena straightened in her chair. On screen, Archon Vasix appeared, his mercury eyes swirling in what might have been agitation. "Human vessel, identify yourself and explain your presence. Our sensors did not detect your approach until you were already in our system." Elena smiled. "Greetings, Archon Vasix. This is Commander Elena Reyes of the UEA's Phoenix. We've come in response to your invitation to visit your outpost." "Impossible," the Valorian stated. "Your species does not possess the technology for such rapid transit. The Earth vessel Pathfinder should still be en route." "Perhaps you underestimated us," Elena replied evenly. "We would be honored to dock with your station and discuss the matter further." There was a long pause before the Valorian responded. "Proceed to docking Bay 7. A reception committee will meet you." As the communication ended, Lena turned to Elena. "They're scanning us intensively, Commander, trying to figure out how we got here." "Let them scan," Elena replied. "They won't find anything unless we want them to." The Phoenix approached the massive Valorian station, a structure that dwarfed anything humans had built in space. Kai expertly guided the ship into the designated docking bay, where it looked like a rowboat next to a cruise liner compared to the Valorian vessels. Elena selected her landing party. Herself, Dr. Katri, Darius, Webb and Okonkwo, and 2 security officers. Before they disembarked, she gathered them for final instructions. "Remember, we reveal nothing about the Prometheus engine until I give the signal. As far as they know, we've simply made a surprising advancement in conventional propulsion." The Valorian reception committee consisted of Archon Vasix and several other aliens of similar appearance. Their body language, if such a term could apply to beings of their nature, suggested a mixture of confusion and suspicion. Commander Reyes, Vasix greeted them. "Your arrival is unexpected. Our calculations indicated your species would require years to reach this outpost." Elena bowed slightly. "The human race has always been quick to learn and adapt, Archon. We're grateful for your invitation and eager to begin diplomatic relations." What followed was a carefully orchestrated charade. The Valorians showed the human delegation their outpost, explaining technologies and concepts as one might to children, while subtly probing for information about how the Phoenix had arrived so quickly. Elena allowed her team to express appropriate amazement at Valorian achievements, while revealing nothing of substance about their own breakthrough. Dr. Webb asked questions about Valorian propulsion systems that seemed naive, but were actually designed to confirm his theories about seventh-dimensional physics. After several hours of this, the delegation was invited to a formal reception with the station's leadership council. As they entered the grand hall, Elena nodded slightly to Annika. The signal they had been waiting for. When all were seated, Archon Vasix addressed the gathered assembly. "Today marks a historic occasion, the formal introduction of humanity to the galactic community. Though they are young and their technology primitive by our standards, we welcome them as potential students of our advanced civilization." Elena rose when invited to speak. "On behalf of Earth and all humanity, I thank you for your welcome. You're right that our species is young compared to yours. We've only been traveling among the stars for a little over a century, but youth has its advantages. Among them adaptability, creativity, and a fresh perspective. She paused, looking around the assembly. When we first met, Archon, you expressed doubt that humanity could offer anything of value to your civilization. I'd like to challenge that assumption, if I may. The Valorian made a gesture of magnanimous permission. You may attempt to do so, Commander. Elena nodded to Dr. Katri, who activated a small device. A holographic projection appeared in the center of the hall, a detailed schematic of the Prometheus engine. This is how we arrived at your outpost in minutes rather than years, Elena said. We call it the Prometheus engine, a seventh-dimensional drive. Murmurs spread through the Valorian assembly. Archon mercury eyes swirled rapidly. Impossible. Your species could not have developed such technology independently. But we did. Annika stepped forward, not by following the same path as your civilization, but by taking a different approach entirely. Dr. Webb joined her, explaining the principles of the Prometheus engine, how it didn't try to manipulate existing dimensional boundaries as Valorian technology did, but instead created controlled quantum singularities that served as gateways to the seventh dimension. Your approach to dimensional travel is like carefully picking a lock, Annika explained. Ours is like finding an open window. Less elegant, perhaps, but equally effective, and in some ways more efficient. The Valorian scientists in the assembly were now openly discussing among themselves, their previous condescension replaced by genuine interest. Archon raised a hand for silence. If what you claim is true, Commander Reyes, then we have indeed underestimated your species, but claims require proof. Elena smiled. We'd be happy to provide a demonstration. With your permission, the Phoenix will depart your station and return to Earth. 1 hour later, we will return. Your scientists may monitor the journey with any instruments you choose. The demonstration went exactly as planned. The Phoenix departed the Valorian station, activated the Prometheus engine under the watchful sensors of the aliens, and disappeared into a dimensional gateway. Exactly 1 hour later, it returned, bringing with it data recordings from Earth to prove the journey had been completed. The impact on the Valorians was profound. Their earlier mockery transformed first into disbelief, then into grudging respect. It seems, Archon admitted during the final meeting, that we were hasty in our judgment of your species, Commander Reyes. Your Prometheus engine represents an approach to dimensional physics that our scientists had not considered. We would be interested in establishing a more equitable exchange of knowledge. Elena inclined her head. Earth would welcome such an exchange, Archon, as equals. As the human delegation prepared to return home, Dr. Okonkwo approached Elena on the bridge of the Phoenix. You know what impresses me most, Lena said quietly. Not that we developed this technology so quickly, but that we didn't use it to threaten or intimidate them, even after how they treated us. Elena nodded. That's the difference they didn't understand about humanity. Our strength isn't just in our technology or our adaptability. It's in our capacity for both pride and humility. We know how to stand our ground without trampling others. As the Phoenix activated its Prometheus engine once more, the dimensional gateway forming before them, Elena reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The Valorians had mocked humanity, dismissing them as primitive and unworthy. In response, humans hadn't sought revenge or domination. They had simply proven their worth through ingenuity and determination. And in doing so, they had changed their place in the galaxy forever. The Phoenix entered the gateway, carrying humanity's new reputation back to Earth, and to a future brighter than they had ever imagined. As news of the successful mission spread throughout Earth, celebrations erupted across the planet. For the first time in human history, mankind stood as equals among the stars, their unique approach to seventh-dimensional travel establishing them as innovators rather than imitators. In the months that followed, diplomatic relations with the Valorians evolved from condescension to mutual respect. Other galactic civilizations, intrigued by humanity's unconventional breakthrough, initiated contact. The Phoenix became the first of many seventh-dimensional vessels, opening the galaxy to human exploration in ways previously unimaginable. And somewhere in deep space, Commander Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the UES Phoenix I, looking out at stars that were no longer unreachably distant. The Valorians had mocked humanity, thinking them primitive and limited. They weren't mocking anymore.